Welcome back to your On TV News Desk. I am here with Councillors Frank Fata and Marchy Bruni. How are you guys doing today?
Very good, thank you.
Thank you so much for coming in. I know you're both busy,
Thanks for having us.
No problem. This is a hot topic. We're here to talk about taxes and specifically industrial taxes. Now, both of you provided some insight to me when I was writing an article recently on small-scale industrial tax rates in Sault Ste. Marie. Just to give some perspective, ours are sitting at 6.387% versus other Northern Ontario cities. Sudbury's at 4.967, Timmins at 4.264, Thunder Bay at 3.548, etc. In fact, our small-scale industrial rates are even higher than other cities' large industrial rates. Now, Frank, can you describe, from your perspective, what happened, what kind of led to this increase in 2017? We've talked a little bit about it before, but...
To give it to you in a nutshell, complacency. That's been the way that I've noticed over the years when it comes to the non-residential property classes. We seem to have this attitude that staff will give us direction and we tend to follow. We don't question it. As a general rule, this is what we have to be very careful of going forward, because this is a type of thinking that will hurt us deeply. And we don't fully appreciate the importance of treating our industrial and our commercial, large commercial, large industrial, and of course small industrial. We've got to be very seriously concerned about their welfare, because they pay a lot of taxes. Just to give you an example, one of our big box stores pays the equivalent of 350 bungalows.
Yeah.
So that tells you the importance of respecting those areas that we seem to take lightly in the past, and we can very well be doing that again in the future if we don't have the right people on council.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Riley, it's correct. Our large industrial went from 7.4 to 11.3, and our small industrial went from 4.7 to 6.3, as you stated earlier. I know Councillor Fata and myself have spoken to especially the small industrial, and to give you an example, one was paying $80,000. Once he got his tax increase, it was up to $90,000. Well, that's a $10,000 increase. How are they going to manage, especially with minimum wage that has gone up? They do provide jobs, they provide pensions, they provide benefits. It's an area that the new council, and hopefully Councillor Fata and myself are successful, that we're going to definitely pursue this more. And especially Councillor Fata and myself, we sit on the Finance Committee,
right,
as Councillor Shoemaker and Hollingsworth. We have to bring this forward, and we have to discuss it, because these small industrial businesses are suffering.
Absolutely. Now, Marchy, that kind of brings me to my next question, because I watched the council footage from, it was April 2017, where this kind of all came about, and you openly disagreed and kind of questioned what staff was recommending. Mm-hmm. But it seemed as though there wasn't a lot of other people that were on your page, but now we're fast forward a year, not quite a year, but no, over a year. Over a year. But y'all get it. And people are questioning exactly the kinds of questions that you raised in council, mm-hmm, which were, what are the impacts for the industrial, right, the small scale, right, industry? Why do you think that council reacted the way they did and voted the way they did?
I don't know if staff provided a very clear report to the councillors. I was speaking to business owners prior to the budget, so they were kind of giving me a heads up.
Right.
Unfortunately, if this continues, and the provincial law that we have in place right now, they have something called tax capping.
Right.
And so it only can go up so much, but it's for a 5-year period. You might be seeing like a 56% increase in taxes. I mean, that's unheard of, especially for these small industrial businesses. It's going to hurt them, and it could deter us from bringing other businesses to Sault Ste. Marie. So we need to be competitive, because if we're not competitive, other businesses won't come here.
And I think that's kind of an issue that was raised when I spoke with small-scale industrial business owners. They said, for us, there is the capping, but for someone looking at what Northern Ontario city they want to move to, what would compel them to choose the Sault over North Bay, whose small-scale industrial rate is 1.799. That's 5% lower.
And I think that's where we have to look into. Why is North Bay 1.7, Thunder Bay 3.5, Timmins 4.2? Right. I think we as council, but also staff, we have to look into it. Why are they lower than we are? And this is all according to the MBA. What's the BMA report, and hopefully our city staff can follow through on that and do the comparisons. I mean, we have the comparisons, but why are they lower than us?
Absolutely.
I just want to add, if I may, a little bit here. I just want to be cautious and re-emphasize to people that is very important going forward. In this next election, it is extremely important because I truly believe this, and I'm being very honest when I say this, that we've got this sort of a tax and spend philosophy on council, and it could, with the reduction of 2 councillors, it'll make it even more likely that there's going to be this attitude that everything's just fine. Right. We don't hear from the industrial. It's almost because they're an entity rather than a person. Usually when it comes to a company, we tend to look at the entity rather than the person. We have this sort of laid-back attitude that they're not going to complain. They don't have a voice, and and we should be concerned about residential. Of course we should be. But we have this attitude, this laissez-faire attitude that cannot continue. And if we're not careful, we're going to end up with more of these tax and spenders. That is the problem. At City Hall, we have a tendency to overspend, and we don't look at the costs to do business.
Absolutely. Now, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, I have a couple more questions for you guys on this topic. Stay tuned on TV for more with Councillors Fata and Bruni. And we're back with Councillors Bruni and Fata, who are both running for spots on council again in the upcoming election. It's coming up pretty quick.
Very exciting.
Very exciting stuff. Now, we've been talking about industrial taxes. A question that I have, and I'll start with you, Frank. When we originally spoke, we spoke on the phone about tax rates earlier in September, and you described the rates on industrial small-scale industrial businesses as unfair. What do you think needs to happen at council to rectify the issue? And do you think it can be done without serious cuts to services or burdening other tax classes?
Exactly. And every time this question pops up, the first thing that the response from staff is, we're going to have to adjust residential. It's always the first answer. I've been receiving this for umpteen years. We've got to find a way to cut costs at City Hall. Plain and simple. We are finding all kinds of ways to spend money. Community Adjustment Committee came up with $400,000 reasons why, and Future Sault Ste. Marie. We're finding ways to spend money, but we're not looking for ways to reduce costs. Right. And we have to get serious about this. We've got, in the next 4 years, we're going to have a number of issues. The skyrocketing costs of fire and police. We got issues with paramedics. We've got to deal with costs of running City Hall.
So you're basically kind of openly saying that there has to be cuts made somewhere in City Hall.
Do we want to cut services? Of course not. Do we want to deal with this issue? Of course we do. Right. And we can't keep shoving it under the carpet like we've done for several years. Right. And a vast number of councillors in the past feel that that's just fine.
Riley, I like to look at it at another option. I think what we have to do is we have to review responsible spending. I believe if we review responsible spending to make sure we are getting the best dollar for the services that we're receiving, and then if there's cost savings, we can maybe push it back to the large, but especially to the industrial, the small industrial rate. This way we can lower it a bit to help them out. And before we go on, I did forget Rick Nero is also on the Finance Committee, and I didn't want to forget that.
Of course, can't forget Rick.
Yes, but I think if we do review and be responsible in our spending, one thing fortunate for the councillors, we receive our budget several months before. Right. And I think it's the responsibility of each councillor to go line by line. And I know Councillor Fata has continues to do this, because there are times that we do sit together and review the budget, because we were in Ward 5 together.
Right.
And I think it's important, we have to go line for line, ask questions to city staff. City staff always provides an answer. It might not be an answer you're looking for, but you can continue pursuing it. And I think that's important, to review our budget very thoroughly and to see if we can make some savings. Reducing services will not help us for our city. We have road improvement. Our roads are deteriorating faster than we're repairing them. Our snow removal program needs improvement. So to reduce services, I will never vote for that, but I think we can review our budgets, look at cost-saving measures, and move forward.
I think this kind of relates to something when I spoke with Councillor Shoemaker on this issue as well. He said that there are innovative ways that money can be saved, and it doesn't necessarily mean that the burden has to be put on the municipal taxpayer, because
exactly,
of course that's not fair either. Now at this point, how can the Soo compete with these other cities if the tax rate stay the same?
Well, if the tax rates stay the same, we're behind the 8 ball. And I know we have EDC, Innovation Center. They do go out and lobby for us, but it is a difficult task, especially if they look at these numbers. It is an eye-opener. So I think it's a lot of hard work. You know, we have to promote our city. We have to look at businesses that can come here. You know, a couple of new restaurants are coming into town. That's exciting for us.
Right.
You know, hopefully Sears can want a replacement for Sears. You know, for the Station Mall, etc. We do need small industrial. I think if you go out and look for small industrial businesses to come to the Soo, it's not a home run, but if they employ 50, 60 people, and if you bring in 2 or 3 of those, you're looking at 150,
Absolutely.
200 workers.
And it's meaningful work.
With family,
Absolutely.
good paying jobs, etc. I think that's the way we should be attacking.
Absolutely.
A good gauge will be for Sault Ste. Marie if the site of the ferrochrome plant is chosen in Sault Ste. Marie. We are, right now, it's down to 2 places, Timmins and Sault Ste. Marie. We should, I believe, based on what I know, have the best location. Location is certainly paramount.
Right.
But the tax structure that we're dealing with here, we're going to find out in short order whether this has influenced the decision or not, and whether the powers that be, because we do have a member of parliament at the provincial level,
right.
We have a member of parliament at the federal level. We should have no excuses from that point of view. We should have the best location. This may in fact play a role. In several months from now, we may know the answer to that.
And then it might all come out in the wash if it really isn't impacting what, I mean, if a large business chooses, I mean, Timmins' tax rates are much lower than the Soo's, right? So
Yes. Right.
It'll all come out. Anyway, thank you guys so much for coming in and talking. I know you're both really busy, but I appreciate the opportunity to come in and talk taxes.
Absolutely.
Don't forget, the municipal election voting will take place on October 22nd, so do your research and don't forget to vote. We'll be back with more news coming up on TV after this.